All right. I am a massive Taylor Swift fan, and I have been since 2011. And here are the top 5 reasons that Taylor Swift is the biggest songwriter of all time. Now, my name is Andrea Belita, and I work with songwriters who want to go from song idea to release over and over again. I am a songwriter myself. I produce and mix and master my own music. And I remember how hard it was to just be so lonely on this path, especially since I chose a different career ahead of time. So if you're a songwriter who plays an instrument, uses a Mac, and wants to create music more often, I am your girl. In the meantime, let's talk about the top 5 reasons that Taylor Swift is the biggest songwriter of all time. The first reason is because she made a decision. When she was 11 years old, she had a guitar that her parents had given her for Christmas, but she didn't know how to play it. When she was 11, there was a man who came over to fix their computer. He asked her, "Do you play that?" And she said, "No, I don't know how." He said, "Oh, let me show you a couple of things." He showed her how to make a chord. And from there, she just took off. She started playing it. She had been performing in other ways before that. But after this moment, she decided, oh my gosh, I want to learn how to play this guitar. And she started writing songs. She was writing songs, playing that guitar until her fingers bled. And then from there, she just started performing her songs. She wanted her parents to move to Nashville because that was where she felt like she could get into the country scene. When she was 11, they would take trips down to Nashville from Pennsylvania, and she would pitch demos to all the music labels. And even though she got rejected, that brings us to number 2. She kept going. She didn't stop. All of her actions aligned with the goal that she had in mind. And she decided she wanted to be an artist. She wanted to be a singer. And when you make a decision like that, then your actions have to align with it in order for you to get there. If your actions are aligning with what you want, you will get there. So she kept going, and she continues to keep going even through the hardest times as an artist and songwriter. So if you think about even like her song, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, she is on the most massive tour of all time, which ultimately brought in $2 billion in revenue. And she's singing this song, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. I am so depressed, I act like every day is my birthday. She can be depressed, but she keeps going because this is what she wants. This is what she wants to keep doing. And even when she got so much flack for everything, honestly, pretty much everything in her life, she has gotten naysayers who want to shut her down, who want to put her down, and she just keeps going. So for her reputation, that is one of the biggest times. I mean, if you watch the Netflix documentary about her, it's called Miss Americana on Netflix. If you watch that, you will hear her say, I disappeared because I thought people didn't want me around. She'd been accused of being a snake because of the whole Kanye West and Kardashian issue. And after that, she just kind of went away and you didn't see her for about 3 years. But guess what she was building in the meantime? She didn't stop. She didn't say, oh, I can't do this and people don't want me to do it, so I'm not going to do it. Even though people accused her of lying and accused her of being deceptive, she just said, you know what? She sat in her anger and she let it fuel her. She didn't stop say, "Oh, I'm scared. I can't do this." Even though she probably had moments like this, she didn't give up. She didn't stop and say, "I'm not cut out for this." She said, "Let's do this." And she went and she wrote Reputation, which hit so hard. Ahead of that, when she was trying to sell out tour tickets, I remember seeing articles everywhere that the tickets aren't selling for Reputation. It's a flop. It's not going to happen. Guess what? It was the first tour that she sold out stadiums. And I was there. It was incredible. I was there for the Red Tour. I was there for the Reputation Tour. And I was there for 1989. Like every single one of her shows are insanely amazing. And then, of course, I went to the Eras Tour 2 years ago. Incredible. And it's no wonder that she is where she is, because that gets us to the third point why she is the biggest and best songwriter of all time is because she uses her songwriting as a form of therapy. She uses it to process what she's going through, to like heal the feelings that she's experiencing and like soothe what she's going through. And that's actually what I use it for A lot of people use songwriting for healing, for processing, but there are a lot of people and songwriters that I know who can't quite get to that deeper part and let themselves be vulnerable because it's scary for them. But if you can just dive in and let yourself feel those feelings and identify them. I have a song called It's Okay, and it's about leaning into your feelings. And, Taylor Swift is so good at leaning into her feelings and just owning them. Prior to her, there was so much toxicity around the idea of a young girl expressing her feelings because it was always viewed as too much. It was always viewed as needy. And she writes about that, about being called too needy and about being called too sensitive and about being called all these things for being a normal human woman or human being who just feels things. But she was constantly shamed for feeling what she was feeling. And so she just wrote about it and she just normalized, hey, it's okay to feel this way. And it's okay for me to, quote unquote, be needy when you're not giving me what I need. And so we can end this. Very healthy approach to relationships in terms of her being able to identify, hey, this is not something that I need and this isn't working for me. And then she puts it into songs and she's not afraid. I think one of the things that people love about Taylor Swift and can connect so well to, which is why I think the world finally jumped on board with Eras, is because it was this liberation of all the things that you feel and that you feel put down by society. And instead, it's okay to feel it. And she makes it okay. She makes you feel seen and heard and understood. And when someone can put out so much music constantly that just resonates, it's like, why wouldn't you love them? Taylor has also done a good job over the years of being on her social media and being very relatable because, before Reputation, which is when she deleted all of her accounts. So if you found Taylor Swift after Reputation, you missed out on so much incredible content from her that was incredibly relatable. And, whenever you see her posting about her cats or her in the studio, that was the kind of stuff that was coming out all the time and just regular stuff. But after Reputation, she was like, I want to keep my life a little bit more private. If you go and watch some of her old music videos or interviews, just like the YouTube videos that she made with her brother and with her friends and with her team, it's just fun. It's very relatable and very easy to be like, she's just a real person who aligns her actions with what she wants and she goes after it. And that's ultimately what it comes down to is she doesn't stop. She keeps going. She makes a decision. She uses songwriting to process. And even that song Mean, oh my gosh, it's such a good song. And it's, Taylor Swift filled this niche that was missing at the time. There was no young girls who were singing country music that were singing about very relatable things like the song 15, where she talks about her friend giving intimacy with this guy that ultimately didn't actually like her or want her, and how hard that is as a 15-year-old. And she also talks about, in her song Mean, about how much flack people were giving her for what? They were just being mean to her. And why should she just let it be and not respond to it with a song? So a lot of her songs too are also responses to people who have put her down or made her feel less than, and her coming back and saying, "No, I am worthy and I have a right to be here. And even though you don't like my music, that's okay. You don't have to like my music. You don't have to be mean to me either." So Mean was a great song because it was very relatable. It became a big song and people related because they felt like, "Oh, I don't have to just let people be mean to me. I can stand up to them and I can tell them what I think." Another thing that she uses songwriting for, I love listening to her albums and seeing where she's doing this. because I've been following Taylor Swift so closely for so long. I was a teacher, so I was an elementary teacher, first grade and third grade. I carried my guitar to school. And this was back in 2009 all the way to 2011, just to the side. And then my hair was longer and people would be like, and I would curl it and they would be like, oh, you look like Taylor Swift. And I didn't even know who she was at the time. And I would carry my Taylor guitar because I've had my Taylor guitar since 2005. It's not related to Taylor Swift. It's just Taylor is its own guitar brand. And I would be carrying my guitar in to, play music for my first graders. And people would be like, "Oh, you remind me of Taylor Swift. Oh, you play with like Swift." And at the time I was like 28 years old, 26 years old, 27. And I was like, figure out who this girl is because people keep telling me that I remind them of Taylor Swift. So I looked her up. Turns out my roommate really loved her and was a big fan and introduced me to Taylor Swift in like 2010, 2011. And then I went to her concert in 2012, Red concert. And I was just hooked. I was hooked because she's so real and raw and she doesn't let what people say stop her from being herself. And she has been herself, her warm, friendly, loving, creative, funny self the entire time I've been following her. And I think she's brilliant. She's absolutely brilliant. So I was about to talk about the second to the last reason why I think she is the top songwriter of all time. And that is that she uses her songwriting to manifest. So the song Long Live, when that came out on her Speak Now album, it was so inspiring. Like I literally cried when she would sing that song because I knew that she was tapping into this future where people would talk about her, where people would remember her name, where people would talk about everything that she went through. I want to read some of the lyrics because they're just so good. So some of the lyrics are, I said, remember this moment in the back of my mind. The time we stood with our shaking hands, the crowds in stands went wild. We were the kings and the queens. They read off, oh my gosh, when was it? She did Speak Now. It came out in 2010. So it was like I had just discovered her and had started listening to her stuff, and she was going to be coming through my city where I was living. And I was like, oh, I should go. But then I just forgot to get tickets. Tickets were like $60 each. And I was like, oh, I need to get Taylor Swift tickets. But then I just forgot because I wasn't like a diehard fan then. But then after that show, like I had heard it was so good and I saw some of the footage and I was like, I cannot ever miss a Taylor Swift show ever again. So after that, I was like, okay, forevermore, I'm going to go see her on her tours. And it has been amazing. So Long Live was like her showing she can manifest through her songwriting. The final reason that I think Taylor Swift is the top songwriter of all time is because she shows her complexity. She doesn't just show you how beautiful and famous she is. She shows her complexity. She has been on a mission to evolve herself. She's always reinventing herself. She used to be kind of coined America's sweetheart. And then with Reputation, she just exploded that entire identity and showed you that she can be angry and she can be upset about the ways that people demean you and bring you down and do not try at all to hold up their end of their responsibility. So Reputation really was a reclaiming of her whole self, not just this image she felt like she needed to portray, which she did for a long time. And you'll see that if you watch the documentary Miss Americana, which I think is so fantastic. It's so good. So she shows her complexity. So really like, no, if you see really quickly, you might have noticed my eye, I'm blind in my eye, so I can't see out of it. And it's called a cataract. And I used to be super self-conscious about it, but then I was like, you know what? I just want to make videos anyway. So sometimes it wanders over to where my bangs are. I could probably put my bangs up and I don't know if it would make a difference, but either way, I can't get out of it. It's called a cataract. I was born with it. And yeah, I just wanted to share that really quick. But her complexity has been so relatable to people. I think that over the years, as she has evolved and become like she changed from America's sweetheart to this angry woman, basically. And she showed that anger And a lot of people would put that down and be like, you know, get yourself together. But you know what? I think the beautiful thing about it is that people do get angry and people do get fed up sometimes when they have been mistreated. And it is that standing up for yourself, that owning into your power, your reclaiming your identity, reclaiming your ability to move yourself forward. That takes a lot of courage and strength, and anger can be a really important fuel for that. So Reputation really broke her out of whatever box or image she felt like she had to be in. And, she didn't have to put out that album. She could have waited until the anger subsided. She could have waited until she just, felt better and didn't have to do that. But she's like, no, I want to show people who I am. And that had all the deep dubstep. And it was just like full of so much depth. And then it ended with so much chill. And I think that seeing that evolution, even in her album, was really powerful for a lot of people. And a lot of women could relate so well to her, this breaking out of an image that you feel like you have to have in order to be valued. In order to be valued in the society, it was very much like, you need to just be a nice girl. And she was saying, no, like, I'm not going to be the nice girl anymore. This has changed me. But after that, she has continued to show her complexity by how she was an ally for LGBTQ plus, and she stood up for that. She shared her political views. She really busted out of that container that she had inadvertently been placed in and decided to show her complexity to the world. And I really believe that every single album release has been even more exposure. And every single album has been a new side of her that she's willing to share with us. And so Lover was very much like her being like, I will stand up for people that I believe are being mistreated. And I will share my political views because I think if I'm in a place that has a platform and I feel very strongly about something, that I'm going to use that platform for what I believe is a good thing. We had the pandemic, and guess what happened? She kept going. She didn't stop and say, well, this is impossible. We can't get together. She found a way. She kept recording and she kept writing and she kept releasing. In fact, she released more than ever. And it's incredibly inspiring to all the rest of us who are like, Taylor, thank you for just being you and sharing your human experience so that we can all feel a little bit more validated in ours. And so that we can all just kind of come together and bask in the beauty of being human together. So the top 5 reasons, as a review, the top 5 reasons that Taylor is, in my opinion, the best songwriter of all time. 1, she made a decision and she went for it. She aligned all of her actions toward it. 2, she kept going, even with a broken heart. 3, she uses her songs to process. 4, she uses songwriting to manifest her future. And 5, she shows her complexity and allows herself to be seen and vulnerable as she is. Thank you so much for joining me today. This was incredible. If you are somebody who wants to go from song idea to release, I am here to serve anybody who feels like they need that. You need to go from song idea to release and you want to know how to do it, then I'm your girl. My information is down below. Let's get on a call. Let's talk more, and I'll talk to you soon.